Welcome to Morally Corrupt, a show here on the Ringer Reality feed. I am so excited for our show today. We have a very special guest. She is an actress, a host, and television personality from the Emmy-nominated Bravo TV series Vanderpump Rules. Our guest today is none other than Scheana Shay, and let me add, New York Times bestseller 2 times over.
3.
3? What's the third one?
So it was the audiobook, the ebook combined print, and the nonfiction hardcover.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
a huge deal. The book is My Good Side. I read it this weekend, front to back. It's definitely a must read. It's definitely a page turner. It's a memoir, which, can I just say this?
Yes.
I will say this to plug you. I watched Vanderpump Rules. And I think I know a lot about you, but in reading the book, I learned even more about you, which I'm sure is why you wanted to write the book. And I'll start there. That is the first question. Why did you want to write a book? Why was now the time?
I feel like I have wanted to do this for a long time. Ever since I was little, I've always just been very much an open book. And I think that's why I'm probably good on reality TV, is just sharing my lived experiences with the world. However, when you're on a reality show, you're only getting a portion of that. We're on an ensemble cast. We have so many stories to follow, and a lot gets left on the cutting room floor. And so since starting the show, I have kept a running tab in my phone, a note of things that one day when I write a book, I'm going to talk about this, and this for like a decade.
Nice.
So I've always told myself, whenever the show is done, I'll write my book then, thinking that it would be more of a tell-all, all of these things that go on behind the scenes. Like, I just knew what my book was going to be. I knew the chapter titles and all of this. And then about almost 2 years ago now, met with my agents, just talking about different career things I wanted to do. The idea of a book came up, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't know if it's the right time. And they're like, look, it takes a long time from the beginning process to the end. We could be talking 2 years. So why don't we just get the ball rolling now? And I was like, okay, all right, let's take some meetings and whatnot. And so we did. We got the proposal together and everything. And while I'm in this process, I mean, I'm still assuming that business as usual, we'll have a season 12 and whatnot. And then we didn't. I filmed as a friend for The Valley. We announced the book. Season 12 obviously got rebooted. But I'm like, I couldn't have timed this better if I genuinely tried. I put it off for so long. And then just with knowing how long it takes a book to come out, I'm like, let's just start the process now. Several other cast members have had books, followed that. I just assumed it would be part of my story the next season. And I mean, the book came out the day of the Valley finale, which was not planned either. It was just.
That's what we call kismet.
Yeah, the universe.
So you said something, and it was a question I was going to ask you, was would you have written the book, which you answered that part, but would the book have come out if you were still filming Vanderpump Rules? Would you have held it back? And the reason I ask is because you say a lot about details of production and what goes on. So would you have come out with the book if there was season 12 Vanderpump Rules?
Yes, I still would have, because I think that's just a portion of the book. I think there's so much more story to tell. But also the book had to go through a full legal review, a full network review. There were some things slightly tweaked and revised, but for the most part, I was able to keep everything in, obviously. So that was really cool too, because I always thought that I needed to wait to write a book because I wouldn't be allowed to talk about getting demoted or all of these other behind the scenes things, but they were fine with it. So
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's something I think that people would want to hear, just because people are skeptical about production in the process. So I like the insight that you're giving of, you couldn't just write a book and just put out whatever you wanted. It had to go through a whole process. And they do send it over to them and they say, is this true? Do you have a comment? You might have to change a name. You might have to, all that stuff.
And I left some names out, there were.
But you left a lot
in.
You left a lot in. And I'm going to ask you about that too.
Okay.
When you're writing a book and you're doing a proposal, you have to think about who is going to be reading this book. Who did you write this book for?
For all of the people who have been on this journey with me from the beginning for the people who are just joining it, for anyone who has felt that they've been defined by their past, a scarlet letter, the scars that they carry. I wanted to write this book to show that your past doesn't have to define your future. You can always recalibrate. I am the queen of course correcting. I make mistakes all of the time, but I'm the first to own it and grow from it.
Okay.
And that's who I wrote this book for.
I love that. And it makes me think, was this a therapeutic experience for you?
Oh,
And in
yes.
particular, was doing the audiobook, because that's a whole nother beast
Girl.
to at like, because you're saying it out
Yeah,
loud, writing it and then having to say it is very emotional. So I'm
it
wondering
was.
what the process was like for you having to do the audiobook, and if it was therapy for you at the same time.
It really was. The whole process overall was very cathartic, very therapeutic. The audiobook, not gonna lie, I could have had it done in 2 days. We saved the last 2 chapters for day 3. We had the
Yeah.
studio booked for 5 days, and I'm like, "It is not gonna take me that long to read the book."
Mhm.
By day 2, I'm like, "We can finish it today," but then thinking about chapter 16, I was like, "You know what? Let's just end it early today.
Mhm.
Let's, decide if we're gonna Xanax or beta blocker before we read this." I've never taken a beta blocker, so I chose a Xanax. I took that morning. I got there and I was just like, "Okay, we just need to speak clearly, have emotion where I need to have emotion, but not be sobbing." Because I've done podcast episodes before where I'm talking about something and I'm hyperventilating, trying to catch my breath. But I'm like, whatever, it's a podcast episode. With this book, this is a timeless piece of work
Yeah.
that people, and sure, you can go back and listen to a podcast, but people are going to be listening to this audiobook for hopefully a long time, whatever.
Mhm.
And that was one thing where I'm like, okay, at some points, I would say a sentence, take a deep breath, say the next sentence.
Yeah.
I would feel my voice start to crack a little. I would re say things. I mean, I thought when I first got into the booth, I go, "Oh, wow, this is so much easier than recording music."
Mhm.
No, it's not.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah.
The intro was fun. I even re-recorded the intro because I was so peppy the first time I recorded it. And my manager had to remind me, like, people have already bought the book at this point. You're not
Yeah.
selling them on the book. It's not a sales pitch.
Yeah.
So just read. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I like went into my normal hosting voice. I'm like, in this book, you guys will find out.
It's tough, and you have to revisit, and but
Yeah.
you clearly did a fantastic job and people got it,
Thank
like,
you.
understood it, because that is a por or one of the things that made the New York Times
Yeah.
best-selling
And that was
list.
so cool. Just knowing that not only am I a New York best time selling, a New York Times I always say New York Times
I
best selling, New York, whatever.
they get it.
We
They
get it.
know.
But the fact that I'm also a New York Times best-selling narrator,
Mhm.
that was so cool because I genuinely thought it was gonna be the easiest thing I've ever done, just reading a book. I
Yeah.
was the kid in class who always wanted to raise her hand, read aloud, and so this, I'm like, "Oh, right up my alley." It was challenging, but therapeutic.
Therapeutic, for
Yeah.
sure. Now that it's come out and people are having their reactions, any regrets from anything that you wrote in the book that maybe you now think about based on the public reaction?
I don't think I have any regrets about anything I put in the book. If anything, maybe I regret that I didn't say more.
Ooh, we love that. Do we hear a part 2 coming? Why not? I mean, the
Yeah.
publisher's gotta be thrilled.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you're in talks to that.
Yes.
There were strong reactions to the book. What and just to you in general, right? Like, the years of watching you, I feel like people have very strong
Mhm.
opinions about you, which I'm sure is one of the reasons you wanted to write this book. What do you think that people get wrong about you? And then why do you think they get it wrong?
I think it started with the biggest misconception that I was a mistress. I was this home wrecking whore. That was never me. I was not complicit in that affair. So starting out a show, having that scarlet letter literally just like blasted across the world,
Yeah.
that was something that I'm like, oh, this is never going to fully go away. I just have to prove myself year after year of who I really am.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of where it started was Sheena's not a girl's girl. She's not a good friend. She's the girl who's gonna steal your man. She's this, she's that, and whatnot. And so over the years, Yes, I have been a people pleaser. I have been someone who just wants to put everyone else first, make everyone else happy, and not always think about myself. And with this book, I needed to think about my daughter. I needed
Mhm.
to think about my family. I needed to think about a lot of people other than myself. And it wasn't an easy decision with everything I was going to put in the book. There was a lot of back and forth, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I just felt like there are so many misconceptions about me, and
Mhm.
I am a damn good friend, and I
Mhm.
am loyal as hell.
To a fault.
Yes, literally. And that's what gets me in trouble is when I say, it's like, well, they didn't do it to me, but it's like you have to take a stand. And it is something I've definitely struggled with. And so writing this book, I felt like, let me at least give more context
Yeah.
to why I do the things that I do. And honestly, going back and looking at things in my childhood, writing this book, I was like, wow. Now I even understand a little more
Yeah.
why I do the things that I do, where it comes from, things that, are just the way that I was raised and things I want to break the generational cycle with my daughter.
Yeah. I liked hearing about knowing where you're from, the people that make up the community, even your you talk about identity and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and I wanna ask you that, but before I wanna get into that, because I feel like you're a very misunderstood person, which is another reason I think the book is really interesting for you guys to read, but you start off the book talking about how you want to be famous.
Mhm.
And I think that that is one of the things that people say about you. They're like, "Sheena wants to be famous," or I even put out some social media. I was like, "Send me your questions. We've got Sheena on the podcast." And several of the questions were like, "Sheena feels like she wants to be the center of attention or she wants to be famous." And then you start the book out and you're like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanna be famous." Talk a little bit about, because I think what people, when they hear that, or maybe they've watched you or they get it wrong, they think that you were willing to do anything to be famous, and I'm sure that's not true.
Correct. That is another huge misconception.
Okay, talk a little bit about that.
So I also feel like people don't believe the reasonings of why I said this, but ever since I was a kid, yes, I did love being the center of attention. I was a talented little kid who played baseball on the all boys team. I was the only girl. I danced. I was in every school play. I enjoyed entertaining and performing.
Mhm,
Not going to hide that or lie about it. The famous part of it, it started, yes, when I was a kid. I'm like, oh, I could see myself playing this role, or I could totally do that
mhm,
just from the little bit of theater I did. But I genuinely said I wanted to have a platform one day. I wanted to be famous because I wanted to use it to help people. And that's what I love about reality TV. It's not the easiest thing,
no,
but knowing that I put myself out there, I'm vulnerable and I share things that there's normally a taboo or stigma around, and that I talk about it openly and honestly. I know it's helped so many people.
yeah,
Postpartum struggles, just, I mean, and I'm sure now infidelity and so many things that I discuss in this book. This is why I wanted to write it. And I just feel like there are going to be so many people who say whatever they want to say about me.
mhm.
You can't please them all. I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't.
I'm glad you
I
know that.
did not sell out my family for a book. I would not risk everything to be famous.
What is off limits for you? Like, what is something you would never do?
Oh, I mean, like, completely compromise my values. We teeter on the line for sure with
I
the
don't think you
show,
teeter on the line.
but there is a line
Mhm,
that is drawn, and I drew that line before we started filming season 11. That was off limits. Everyone wants to say I wasn't being real. I was being hypocritical because
mhm,
I didn't talk about what I was going through at the time. I didn't feel I owed it to anyone at that time to talk about what I was going through. I owed it to my daughter to figure out what situation was going to be best for us.
mhm,
Was mommy going to be strong enough to stay? Was she going to leave? What were we going to do for our family?
mhm,
And I really needed time to figure that out. 2 months and season 11 post Scandival was not enough time for me to figure that out.
mhm.
And so I just in true Scheana fashion as I did when I was a kid and I got bullied. I compartmentalized it. I didn't tell anyone other than my manager,
Mhm.
my sister-in-law, and my best guy friend.
Mhm.
For over a year, no one knew
Yeah.
because I just needed to figure out what was best for my family.
Mhm.
And just because something happens to you today and you're filming tomorrow doesn't mean you have to tell everything that happened to you today.
Mhm.
I needed to do it on my timeline when I was ready and when I had made a decision without any outside noise,
Mhm.
without my best friend, my mom, my sister saying, you should stay, you should leave. I needed to do that for myself.
Mhm. I respect that, and I understand it. And you're right, there was a lot of chatter about, well, when you were filming season 11, you were holding this
Mhm,
information, yet demanding so much information from
mhm.
Ariana. How do you reconcile that? Do you understand what people are saying?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like it was unfair that you were demanding maybe something from her that you weren't giving yourself?
Yes, I see the frustration, I see the hypocrisy, I absolutely understand that. At the time, I just felt like I was in survival mode, and I was just trying to keep my head above water, and I was drowning.
Mhm.
I had so much anger and hatred towards my husband,
Mhm.
and I was taking it out on Tom Sandoval because I had it for him as well. It was the cheating in general, the affair. It was so many things triggered me that I had to take it all out on Tom. Brock and my mom weren't getting along great at the time. So I knew that was another reason I sure as hell wasn't going to tell my mom because I didn't want her to tell me I should leave. Like I needed to figure it out for myself. And as much as I wanted to confide in my best friend, I knew she was still going through so much and now she's in a new relationship and she's so busy and I didn't want to trauma dump on her and then I'm like, but then what if like it gets brought up next season and it's like this constant battle in my head where
Mhm.
I knew Ariana was the only person really on the show who I ever trusted 100%. There was a point in time when Tom Sandoval was one of those as well, then he wasn't. And as much as I trusted her 100%, there was still part of me that was like, "Don't say anything," because she's still in this, getting over someone, even though she's moved on to a new relationship, she's still getting over someone who cheated on her, and what if she projects that onto you? Like, how could you stay with him? And so I didn't say anything. I didn't tell her anything, and then, we're filming next season. Lisa Vanderpump sits me and Lala down and essentially says, "We're gonna have blood on our hands if Tom Sandoval commits suicide, and we needed to give
Yeah,
him
that's rough.
grace." As you know, I've lost someone. I've lost multiple people to
Mhm.
suicide, and that wasn't something I was willing to do. I'm like, "Look, he cheated. He had an affair. None of that was okay." And that's for Ariana to forgive or not forgive. That's not for me,
Mhm.
but it doesn't warrant the death penalty.
Mhm.
And that's where I kind of have to draw the line. I cannot just keep being like, "Well, I don't care if he kills himself."
Yeah, and I keep saying, "That's why you need to read the book," but you do share a personal story of losing someone and how the impact that that had on you even till to this day,
Yeah.
and it makes sense why whether people agree with how they would have handled it or not in that situation, it makes sense why you made the decision that you did. I think that what some of the viewers saw also or felt also is that you s I don't know if you said it or Lala said it, but I think people, like, merged the 2 of you together about
Literally.
about the fact that it's because of her and her unwillingness to film or share that's why y'all didn't get a second season or another s second season, 12th season,
Yeah.
a 12th season, but then they're like, "But you had information that was going on in your personal life that you could have shared and
Mhm.
possibly received a 12th season."
True. I don't think Vanderpump Rules was the place to tell that story, genuinely. I think a show like The Valley that focuses on more family, postpartum,
Mhm.
mental health, I think that is a safer space for something like this. Now, at the time, The Valley wasn't even
Sure.
happening, it was just going into season 11. I knew I needed at least that season to figure out if I was gonna stay.
Mhm.
Then the idea comes up the next year about a book, and then it's like, do we put it in the book? And all the while, I still think we're gonna have a season 12.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "All right, well, here's the thing. Enough time has passed. I have protected my family. I have not told anyone about this. If I'm going to write a book, how do I write a memoir and not talk about a literal chapter of my life and one of the most devastating things I've ever gone through and been able to forgive and overcome? I think that's a huge thing. That's a story that deserves to be told. So if I'm going to write a book and put it in the book, then we're going to talk about it on season 12 because in a normal timeline, season 12 would have filmed last summer. The book came out this summer. So it's like the show would have already been airing. So assuming we have a season 12 and I'm putting it on the show, it had to go in the book.
Gotcha.
Then they decided to reboot the show and all of that. I needed more time for my family, and I will not apologize to anyone for not giving them that part of my life at that time because it wasn't the right time. And, wherever my future in reality TV is, I'm sure you will hear a lot about all of this, but it wasn't the right time or the right place.
Okay, so to be clear, I know in the book you talk about that somebody betrayed your trust and leaked the information, and it came out like in a smaller blog. But you were always going to put this information in the book. It wasn't because of the blogger.
No,
Okay.
that did slightly force my hand,
Okay.
but it was a debate back and forth. When
Yeah.
I decided to write a book, I didn't know about this at the time. It was just something I had always wanted to do. Then once, we take meetings and all of that, we did the proposal. We had a very vague description of what chapter 16 could look like
Got you.
if I chose to put it in the book. The book sold the next day. Literally, like they said, the fastest a book has ever sold. Like the next morning we get a call, here's the highest offer. We want to take it off the table. Please don't take any more meetings. And I'm like, the book sold without chapter 16. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe we just take it to the grave. Maybe no one ever has to know this.
Yeah.
We write some stuff about our marriage and we just like skirt around the truth. And the more I sat with that, it just didn't feel right. I wrote the first draft of the chapter and I was like, I'm just going to like present this to my husband and be like, so here's what it could look like. And I read it to him out loud and he was just like, absolutely not. That is not going in the book. And I'm like,
he said no.
well, sir, that is not your decision.
Yeah.
And I asked him why. And he goes, if you're even thinking about talking about this in the book, you're not doing it that way. He goes, this vague, trying to skirt around it. It doesn't, he's like, no, if you're going to say it, then say it all. I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yes. I'm like, okay. Because at first it was like, oh yeah, he told me he did. It was very, very vague. It didn't say how many times or the letter he wrote me or like anything like that. And so I go, okay, well then I'll go back to the drawing board, nails to keyboard, and rewrote it, added so much more detail. Before I hit send to the publisher, I said, this is my last chance to make any edits. Once we send it off, it goes straight to copy editing, straight to print. Would you like to read it? And he said, no, this is your story. I want you to tell it the way you want to tell it. And he didn't read it until a few weeks ago when we got the hardcovers.
He knew better. He can't say shit.
And he was like, oh, you really did say it all. And I don't think he even realized how much I was internalizing and going through at the time. Because he was just like, it broke his heart again to read that.
Yeah. And I want to jump back because I want to talk about, I don't want to be like, because I know this is really hard for you to talk about, and I don't want it to be so much heavy on that. I want to go back and talk about some of the things like you growing up, and because you talk about yourself and how you became the person that you are. But I think it's what's interesting is you deciding to share the story about Brock and what happened to you, because there is, you talk about other relationships in the book and things that you went through, and it's very relatable. And I say this as I'm talking about even to myself, going through my 20s and dating people and trust issues. And I think a lot of people who read this book can either learn from it or identify with it as well. So I want to go back, but we'll come back to that. We're gonna take a break for a second and not be so heavy on that. Something I thought that was really interesting in your book is you talk about growing up and identity. And you talk about where you grew up, Azusa. I'm not from California, so I'm like, okay, where is
just
this?
east of Pasadena.
And you say it's like 30 miles from Hollywood, which I again is interesting. I can only imagine being that so close, but not close
Right.
enough. I know, guys, you listening, if you don't understand, 30 miles might as well be 5 hours, it
Yeah.
feels like, away from LA, but you're so close, but not quite there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can touch it, but you can't. So
Mhm.
I'm sure that added to everything else that you were feeling. But you talk about an identity struggle of how you talk about, you know, how you came into this world, your mom's relationships, and you talk about your stepdad and your real dad, which I think is really interesting too. And that helped you
Mhm.
with your relationship with Brock and
Yeah.
understanding him. Very interesting and connecting it all. But you talk about being half white, half Mexican,
Mhm.
and that you weren't white enough for this group or you weren't Mexican enough for this group. How did you reconcile that even now? Because you don't really get into, you discuss it, but you don't really talk about like where you stand with that now and representation
Yeah.
and all of that. And I think a lot of people that will resonate with people.
I think this is like the next chapter of that part of my life. I don't
Okay.
think that I fully have yet. I don't think I've fully embraced it because I've felt like not growing up with the Hispanic culture like my cousins and other people have. I don't wanna say it's like I'm not a fake Mexican, I'm half
No,
Mexican, but
you're
it's
not
like I
fake
feel
Mexican.
like when I roll my R's, I'm like, "Oh, is it okay that I said it that way?" Or it's just like I'm not completely comfortable
Mhm.
in who I am with that because I didn't grow up with that, and I
Yeah.
would love to lean into that more. I would love to embrace that more. I think it's just a matter of being accepted by the Hispanic community, which I do feel that way, but
Mhm.
I feel like finally telling my story in the book, I'm able to now embrace that more because it's also something I never really talked about publicly because I never wanted my
Why?
dad
Okay.
to feel like he wasn't my real dad, like he
Mhm.
wasn't enough, like I just wanted to be Mexican. And I just protected his feelings for so long that I never told anyone. It was like friends and stuff knew I was half Mexican, but when people would hear it, they're like, "Wait, Sheena Jankin, like
Mhm.
she's not Mexican." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Well, it's I don't have my biological father's last name. They weren't married. It was the 80s. My mom had 2 boyfriends. It was the whole thing." But, you know, 19, surprise, you're pregnant. So I am hoping that even just like, for example, getting back into acting and doing a little spot on Lopez versus Lopez,
Yeah.
just being around that and the culture, I'm like, I want to lean into this more.
Yeah.
So there are some projects that we do have in the works
Okay, great.
around that. And that is something that I do just want to represent more.
I thought it was great because I think a lot when I shouldn't generalize and say a lot, but there are people who are of mixed race who do feel stuck in between or in
Mhm.
limbo. And I thought, wow, I didn't really know this about Sheena. And I think that it was great to hear. And I was just like wondering, oh, I wonder if she does feel more comfortable now. If she,
Mhm.
you know, so okay.
Yeah,
Okay, well, good. I'm glad. I can't wait to see what it is that you're working
I
on.
know.
All right. So you grow up, you go to college,
Mhm.
broadcast journalism major, but you also want to act. And then you have friends who are in LA, all the things, you find jobs, you find work, all of that stuff. And you start working at this cigar place. What was it called? Can you say it? Can you
I
not name
don't
it?
think I'm
Okay,
allowed
okay, then
to.
we
I'll
won't.
tell
No, no,
you
no.
what it is after,
It's still
but
around?
yeah, it's still
It's
around.
still around.
Yeah, and that was one thing with the book where I'm like, I don't think I should even give the
You can't.
initials of what it is because I'm
No, you
sure I
can't.
signed some sort of NDA when I started working there.
Well, you must have because you lost your job for something
Yeah,
that technically wasn't a rule, but is
right?
I don't want to give too much away because I want people to read the book.
Yeah.
But it was here where you started to meet a lot of different people that are A-list,
Mhm.
on some kind of list, recognizable
Yes.
people. And there is this literal sentence in the book, okay? It made a lot of attention where you start naming all these people. And here was my question, okay? Name
Yeah.
the list. We see all these people, got a lot of attention, but you stop short of it. And I'm curious, did somebody make you sign an NDA why you didn't actually name people? Because you start naming people and we're like, "Oh, this person." And then you're like, "NFL, NBA." I'm like, "Okay, well, who?" And then you say notebook actors, and I'm like, "Okay, well, we only remember like 3." So,
Maybe it's 2 of the 3.
did you sign an NDA? Is that why you
I
can't say?
did not. I
Okay.
did wanna keep some mystery in the book. I did wanna keep some if, like, I don't know, maybe there's a little black book that comes out one day, who knows?
Okay.
But I also I am still friends with certain
Okay,
people. There are
cool.
people who
So
I
we'll
did wanna
scroll
just
your
protect
Instagram.
and not completely expose. But I felt like I needed to just at least rattle off a
It
list
was
of
a
names.
flex.
Yeah.
It was a flex, Sheena. Listen,
It was hoe enough. So I'm like,
uh,
we don't need to go into every single athlete as well.
no, I don't think. Did you say hoe?
Uh-huh.
No,
Mhm.
no, 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 no. You're only a hoe if they make you feel like a hoe. That is called you were having a good time.
Yes.
And again, we all did in our 20s. I mean, and if you didn't, sorry for you. We were having a good time. This is what I will ask because it's not just me that wants to know. People want to know. There's speculation as to who the
Ooh.
Notebook people are,
Oh, okay.
and we only remember 3. But you say Notebook actors. You say so it's plural.
Mhm. Correct.
Is it at least like one of the big ones?
Yes.
Okay. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there, okay? You're welcome.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it
Uh-huh.
there. And good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you. Okay, so a question I've thought about as, you're pursuing acting, you're pursuing hosting, and, you're working, you're meeting these people. One thing I just want to note, I love that you gather friends along the way, that you make friends here. And it seems like you
Yeah.
still hold on to those friends throughout your life, whether it's working at a restaurant or a cigar bar or college or whatever.
Mhm.
These are your roommates. And I think that is something you can attribute to the person you are.
Thank you.
But I thought as you're telling, you're rattling off names and you're talking about working at this place, you want to be taken seriously as a host and as an actress. Were you at all worried or nervous about being with Hollywood men? Because sadly, as women, we are always judged more harshly
Mhm.
than men are when we do the same things. Were
Mhm.
you concerned or worried about that?
A little bit, yeah. I
Mhm.
definitely didn't feel good enough to be dating the guys, sleeping with the guys, hooking up with the guys who I was, I mean, I go with Jesse Metcalf to the Cloverfield movie premiere. I was like, I'm not going on that carpet. Like, I don't even know if he wanted me to, but it was like not an option. I'm like, you go do your thing. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
happy to be your date. But dating people like that, I mean, I definitely got a taste of the other side of the life, which I
Mhm.
knew I did want. But I didn't want to become famous because I was dating someone, because I
Sure.
was someone's girlfriend or whatever. I wanted to make it because of myself, because of either talent in acting, hosting, or just being myself.
Mhm. No, 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 for sure, for sure. And I like that you see the growth or the transition, but it does feel like as you're talking about your relationships, you go from one end of the spectrum to the other, like the
Mhm.
pendulum really, can I say that word? Pendulum really swung from
Yeah.
one side to the other. So you go from like dating celebrities, having fun, doing your thing, and then you talk about Colin,
Mhm.
and then you talk about Mike, who is a child. She got that old thing back. It's a childhood friend. You felt comfortable with him, and you talk about you kind of went from one extreme to the other because you
Yeah.
knew that lifestyle wasn't for you.
Mhm.
So it was like, this is what I want. I want something normal. I want something that's not flashy. Why did you think that was necessary? Like, was that the answer? Do you think? Because you went from one end to the other very
Mhm.
quickly, like almost like a 0 to 100. Do you think that was the correct way to do it?
It felt like I maybe in the book 0 to 100, but it was like a full year transition for
Okay.
me. So
Okay.
it was like I was single for a little over 5 years, completely single. Like I had the few months with Jesse Metcalf. I had this, like that was all like very casual dating. The Eddie thing and all of that, I mean, that scared me from just dating in general and
Sure.
just all of that. So in 2009, I moved into a studio apartment.
Mhm.
And it was during that year when I got close with Colin and I ended up in Vegas, came back with Shay. And so during that full year of just hanging out with a normal guy, dating him, then clearly that didn't work out. But then running into Shay, it just felt like the universe. It felt very serendipitous that at this time in my life when I'm trying to just look for a real relationship, a real connection, just a normal guy who's not
Mhm.
trying to be famous or isn't famous,
Yeah.
that was what I felt like at 25 going on 26 years old, I was ready for in my life. And so going to Vegas and running into Shay there of all people, it just felt extremely serendipitous. And I'm like,
Oh,
this is what my life is supposed to be.
listen, I was on The Bachelor. So, like, I'm a hopeless romantic now. So, if I had seen somebody, I would have been like, "Oh my God, this is the universe trying to tell me that." I get
Yes.
that. But I'm glad you brought up time because it's you can't get it really when you're reading the book.
Right.
So it felt like as I was reading it, you were jumping from relationship to relationship to relationship. And I thought, has Sheena been single? What is the longest you've been single?
5.5 years. So I
The
was with
20s.
yes, I was
Okay.
with my high school boyfriend from 13, almost 14
Okay.
to 20.
Mhm.
And then we broke up senior year of college. I was single for senior year of college.
Mhm.
So this was like end of '05 until summer of 2010
Okay.
when I started dating Shay. So about, 5 years.
Mhm.
But in between that, I mean, I dated Jesse Metcalf for a few months. I hung out casually with Shamar for a year and a half, 2 years, friends, hook up, whatever. It was like there were so many little spurts of people. I
Mhm.
had a boyfriend for like 2.5 months who had 3 kids. And I didn't even put this in the book, but I was like a 23-year-old stepmom for a few months.
Fun.
And it's so funny that now my current husband and him work together at a production company, and
wow.
I'm still friends with his kids and all of that. But it's like I had little 3-month relationships.
Yeah.
I had a short relationship with Rob in my early 20s.
And then you came back?
Mhm. But
Oh.
it was never like a serious
Sure.
long-term one over
What a
those five
time.
and a half years.
What a time. I
Mhm.
wish I lived in LA during these times.
It was the best.
Have any of the guys on the list reached out to you since they were named?
No.
Interesting.
Jesse and I have been just like podcasting about it, but we haven't
Yes, I saw
actually
him.
conversed yet. I run into him here and there. It was so funny. Last time I ran into him, he was with his girlfriend. I was with Brock at this event downtown.
Mhm.
And the next day the book was getting announced. And I'm like, do I tell him?
No,
I
I'm glad you
didn't.
did it. No, I'm glad you did. Like, let's just let it live there.
Yeah.
When you're in the book and you're talking about, being here and like different little things and different escapades and all of that, one of the things I never knew, and maybe you said this on the show before, you talk about that you had filmed on reality TV before in the hills.
Yes.
I don't know why. Laguna Beach, I remember. The hills is like, it never happened. I don't know why. I don't remember the details of that. But you talk about the experience doing it with your friends,
Mhm.
and it was a bad experience for you. And you were labeled, did you say that they labeled you guys as like whores? They were
Yeah, we're
talking
the
about you?
homewrecking whores before I was the homewrecking whore.
So that's your first reality TV experience. And then you even
Yes.
talk about you see Heidi after, and she's super nice. And she's like,
So
so
sweet.
sorry I had to do that. So then
Mhm.
you also see it wasn't just a bad experience, it was a fake experience.
Yeah.
Why on earth would you want to do reality TV when that is all you know? Why would you
didn't.
say yes to it?
I didn't. And it was the same people who did the Hills who were starting Vanderpump Rules. And I was like, no, no, no. I know how this goes. Then
Okay.
I'm trying to be an actress. And then I show up to an audition. And now it's not just Sheena Marie, the actress, it's Sheena Marie from Vanderpump Rules. I'm not interested in it. It took multiple phone calls. Lisa's daughter, Pandora, calling me, being like, you need to get your ass to Sir right now for this meeting. Like, my mom said. And I'm like, okay, fine. So that was like one way where like if Lisa couldn't get to me, she'd go through her daughter who is my friend. And obviously I trust her. And so I'm like, okay, fine. If you think this is a good idea, I'll take the meeting.
Did you think your job was in jeopardy?
No, but Pandora did do the schedule and she was not
Okay.
someone I ever wanted to upset.
Are y'all still friends?
Yes.
Okay.
But and yeah, we have the same birthday too. So we just
Oh,
like
nice.
instantly.
What's your
But
sign?
I'm a Taurus.
Oh,
So is
I
my
get
mom
it.
and
So am
my
I.
daughter.
So am I.
Oh,
We're the
when's yours?
best. That is why you're loyal to a
Uh-huh.
fault as a friend.
I know.
I get that. We
Yes.
see each other in
Mhm.
that. I
When's your
understand.
birthday?
April 21st.
Okay, and then my daughter's April 26th.
I understand. When's
Mhm.
Brock's?
He's a Gemini. He's June 15th.
Okay.
And I'm
Geminis
a
and
Gemini
Tauruses get along well.
rising. So I
Yeah.
think there's something in
Yeah.
our
No,
charts.
no, no. I usually ask that at the beginning, but
Yeah. So no, I didn't think it was in jeopardy. Obviously, you never want to piss off your boss. And
Mhm.
so I took the meeting. I sat down with Baskin and he said that the premise of this show, they really wanted to feature people working in the service industry trying to make it an entertainment. If that
Mhm.
meant following us to an audition, filming something in the recording booth or whatever it was we were working on,
Mhm.
they would film that. And I was like, oh, Well, if you're showing Sheena Marie, the actress, on reality TV, then sign me up.
Did they show you? I know they showed the
No.
boot. They definitely showed you guys recording
Mhm.
when you were doing songs, but I don't ever remember seeing anybody go to an audition, but also that was so long ago. So I
I
don't
don't
know.
remember them showing any of, like, my actual career I was ever working on,
Yeah, which you talk about in the
genuinely.
book. You
Yeah.
talk about that. The Lisa of it all is interesting. That's why I asked you, did you feel like your job was in jeopardy? Because you do get into more detail in the book about the the change in the relationship you have with
Mhm.
Lisa. And you start off with, you revere her. You revered her. There's a lot of she wasn't just a business owner, she was a mother to you. How does it feel now knowing that your relationship is so different? And, how do you feel? I guess like I'm trying to figure out how to say it. Well, one, I'll just ask, how do you feel
Mhm.
now that it's different?
I mean, it sucks, honestly. She was someone I looked up to for so many years, someone I confided in, and
Mhm.
someone I genuinely thought cared about me and my well-being. And I mean, maybe I'm naive, but like I thought we were friends.
Mhm.
And over the years, I just started to see this isn't just my boss. Now this is my producer. And then the phone calls. And just after years and years of that, I realized I need to be my own person and I need to have my own voice. And
Mhm.
I think I felt like I was in survival mode with the show. Once I did join the show, I never
Yeah.
felt like my restaurant job was in jeopardy in the beginning. But once I joined the show, I felt like I was fighting for my life every season.
Mm.
I felt like my job always was in jeopardy. I felt like after the first season, if I didn't force Ariana to do the show with me, I would be fired because I had no friends and I had no one to film with. And I think that's where the other misconception, like, because I said I was a guy's girl once on the show, and I'm like, the guys are just nice to me in this group.
Yeah.
And going back to my childhood, I was the only girl on the all boys baseball team. So, like, the boys were always nice to me, whereas the girls always bullied me.
Mhm.
So, there was that connection that I also made in writing the book. I was like, oh, that makes more sense. But with the show, I felt like season after season, it was like, I have to do something or I'm going to be off the show.
Yeah.
And I felt like Lisa was always very protective of me and she always wanted the best for me. But then as the seasons went on and now, we're coming up into season 6 and she's wanting me to defend James's disgusting
Yeah.
comments, body shaming Katie. I was like, I'm not willing to do that.
Mhm.
And things just kind of took a turn after that. I noticed that Lala was more of her favorite and James was more of her favorite. And I definitely was the favorite in the beginning.
Will you call yourself a soldier for her?
Mhm.
Do you think Lisa ever really cared about you as a person?
I hope so. I mean,
Mm.
have to be very cold to not. I do genuinely think she has cared about me. I think maybe she's cared more about making a successful show. And, I think the cast excluding her is a huge reason why the show was Emmy nominated, not
Mhm.
once, but twice. I think the fans have been invested in our lives more than hers.
Yeah.
Yes, the show is called Vanderpump Rules, but it's never really been focused on her life. It's just been highlights that she
Right.
wants to show. And it's been us pouring the blood, sweat, and tears into
Mhm.
this show for so long. And
Mhm.
so for now to see her go on like Watch What Happens Live and say like, "Oh, well, she's just one of 700 employees. Like, why would I check in on her?" I'm like, that's hurtful because I did think you cared about me. And the biggest thing for me was when I had a miscarriage and she never reached out.
And she knew.
I would assume because the world knew and
Yeah.
her daughter knew that she knew.
Mm.
She said she had no idea.
Mm.
And
It's
even after she found out, it was still like,
it's interesting to read about her through your book and also have watched her on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills because it makes some of the things that were accused of her there.
mhm.
Um, there's just there's a common denominator.
Yeah.
You talked about fighting for your life on the show, and you talk about that. You just said it now, and you talk about that in your book. And there are a couple of times where I don't even know if I realized it, to be honest with you, that you were demoted
Yeah, no
on the
one would
show.
know it from watching it.
I didn't, but you knew because the money was different. But you write at one point in your book that you think you were demoted because of Brock's past and
Mhm.
how it looked to the audience. Is that true?
I mean,
And
that's
do
what
you
I
think
feel.
do you think the producers were putting a certain narrative or painting a certain narrative about Brock?
I think season 9, we were so desperate to try and make a show again.
Mhm.
Post-pandemic, cancellations, people not a part of the cast anymore, you know? I mean, season 9 was so weird. They're filming photo shoots about people's toes and, like, doing all it was
Yeah, I
just
don't
like,
even remember it.
let's just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. And Lala saying what she said about Brock that season clearly did not resonate well. She did not have even close to half of the story when she just put out such damaging words about him. Now, I told him, you should have never said less than half a story to her. You should have given her all of the context. She's
Mhm.
just doing her job by bringing this up. Not okay. Don't agree with it. Should have been a private conversation. But in the moment, I understood that she was just going off of the information she was given. After that season, clearly no one likes him. I mean, why would they when they think that he's this terrible
What
person?
is the truth?
So, it's like, I can't really say it.
Because kids are involved?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, I think people should know that. That's a fair
Mhm.
it's not that you don't wanna tell the truth. There
No.
are minors involved.
Yes.
Alright, we will leave that there.
Yeah.
Would you have stayed with Brock if you didn't have Summer Moon?
I don't know. And
Mm,
that's the thing. I wanna immediately say no, because I genuinely don't think so. I've been the person my whole life who always said if I was ever cheated on, I would leave
mhm,
immediately. But then in my first marriage, I find out, my husband's having this emotional affair and doing all of that. And I stayed.
mhm.
Did I stay because it wasn't physical? I don't know. Did I stay out of pride? I don't know. Maybe it was out of love, but I stayed.
I have to ask you this because it really as I was really sad at certain points as I was reading your book, and you're such a positive person, and you've been through a lot, and I wonder, like and maybe this is a personal question, how do you trust anybody or Brock with what you've gone through? Like, how do you and I think this will resonate with the listeners and the viewers as well. How do you trust again?
I don't completely.
Mm,
I think I'm at like 99% with him. I don't know that we'll ever get back to 100.
mm,
I think he has done everything in his power to prove to me that he can be trusted again, and I don't think he would ever be stupid enough to make that mistake again. I wanted to give him another chance because of our daughter, yes. If she wasn't in the picture, 99.9% I would have had him pack his bags and leave. But he had already proven to be an amazing dad and an amazing partner to me, that I wasn't gonna let a mistake from a couple years prior ruin that immediately.
mhm,
I needed time to process it.
mhm.
I I just really think that you don't know what you'll do in a situation until you're completely in it.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
That is very true. Smarter than me, you got a prenup.
Mm. I didn't the first time though.
I know
I
you didn't
learned
the
my
first time, but
lesson.
it was a
Uh-huh.
as you say in the book, one of
Yes.
the most amicable divorces, at least that's what your attorney said.
Yes.
So at least you had somebody who was like, "I just wanna be done too."
Yeah.
Didn't have that. Okay, a couple you've been so great with your time, and I really appreciate
Thank
you
you.
and the vulnerability of it all. I wanna get to a couple of questions
Mhm.
about what's next for you, your future with Bravo or not. You have a couple of things that are brewing, you said. One, are you done with reality TV?
No.
Do you wanna be on The Valley?
If it's the right fit.
So
Because here's the thing, it's like
okay.
if I say, "Yes, I wanna be on," it's like, "She's so desperate, she just wants to be on the show," and I'm like, "It makes sense for me to be on the show. These are my friends,"
Mhm.
and let's not forget that after season 8, originally, this was the plan. The show was gonna continue at SUR with the new cast, and we
Oh,
were
they
gonna
were
move on
terrible.
to the Valley.
Yeah.
So, it was always splitting, and I was always gonna be a part of both shows.
Okay.
When the Valley pilot talks were all happening, that was before we filmed season 10. Once I found out I was getting demoted for season 10, part of me was just gonna go full on into the Valley.
Mhm.
I was like, well, I had already met with them. I did the Zoom interviews, all of the things. But then we realized they weren't going to be filming till probably another year.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, may as well collect that season 10 check.
Yeah.
Who knew what was going to happen season 10?
Right.
But then I decided, and then we get picked up for season 11. So I'm like, I'm not going to pick a new show over a Emmy nominated show.
What do you say to critics like me who, I'll be honest, Sheena,
I know.
I don't think you should go to the Valley. I want to keep the show separate.
Mhm.
I don't want to see it. What would be your response to critics like me?
If I'm on the Valley, it's because I'm wanted on the Valley, not because I'm wanting to
she's shutting
be
me up.
on the Valley.
Okay.
It's because it makes sense. It's because these are my legitimate friends from before there ever was the Valley.
Mhm.
So,
Well, that's true because you are friends with Janet,
Mhm.
and Janet is in the book. Is Janet a fan?
I mean, yeah. Are you not a fan?
But I would never
I'm
be on
just
your
kidding.
show.
I'm just kidding.
No, I am a fan.
Yes.
And I would never be on the show. There's the difference. So that's where I think, Kristen's having these accusations about Janet's a fan. Janet's like, that's not true. You do say in your book she was a fan when you first
And
met her.
she admits that. She has leaned into that. I think Kristen has kind of taken it to a new level where it's like a creepy stalker sort of fan, which when Janet and Kristen were best friends and Janet was there for Kristen when she was going through her last breakup, she didn't feel that way.
She kept her secret. She kept it a secret. All right. What are we getting wrong about Janet?
There is so much more context always. It's the reason I wrote a book. And the thing is, when you're on a show as a woman with women who are not your closest and bestest friends,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to see the best version of yourself come out. You're seeing a survival mode version of yourself. I feel like me season 1 is Janet on the Valley, where she's friends with Brittany, she's friends with Michelle, but not like she's friends with me or Lala or her Ohio friends and whatnot. And so I just think that you're not seeing the best sides of her. Dave and Buster's Janet, who you got for a little bit in that episode, that's Janet
fun, Janet.
I know and love.
She does seem fun. She feels calculated. And this is why I will say, as a fan, I would never go on the show because I have watched it and I know too much. And I think I would be in my head, well, this happened here and this happened this. And I don't think you would see the best version of me. Janet better hurry up and write a book because it's not going well for her.
I know. And I'm not here to fight anyone else's battles. That's the thing. Like, I am friends with the majority of this cast, minus a few assholes, but
okay,
these are my friends. So if you see me on the Valley, sorry, not sorry.
That's a great transition. Where do you stand with your castmates, former castmates, Vanderpump Rules? Ariana. That's what people want to know the most.
No, I know. I mean, we will text here and there. I haven't talked to her in a couple months. I reach out on the same few days, no matter what we're ever going through. I will always reach out to her on her birthday, on Father's Day, and the day her dad passed away. That's just, that best friend part will never leave me. One of those days is actually coming up this week. But yeah, it just, friendships ebb and flow. And I think that with her and I, we both hurt each other without even realizing we were hurting each other. And now so much time has passed that it's like we're not working together anymore. So if we come back together, it's because we personally want to. And I don't know if she personally wants to.
Okay. Tom. You talk a lot about Tom in the book. I understand your friendship from reading the book.
Thank you. We don't really talk anymore either. It's very surface level. It's a congrats on The Masked Singer, congrats on America's Got Talent. That's pretty much it.
Katie.
I saw her, oh my God, last time was September at When We Were Young at a music festival. We were backstage, met her boyfriend. I think I maybe ran into her outside of something about her once, but I don't really see her or talk to her.
This is getting sad. Kristen.
Yeah. I keep in touch with her.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Brittany.
Yes.
Lala.
Yes.
Jax.
Occasionally. He'll reach out sometimes and, I will respond kindly. I care very much about his son and about him being a good co-parent to Brittany. So hopefully this new path of sobriety for him, the anger and the bipolar and all of that can level itself out. And I truly just hope for peace for her. So
for sure.
As long as he's being kind to her, I will be kind to him.
For sure. When we talk about what's next for you, do you feel like reality TV has hurt your acting or hosting career?
Maybe a little with the acting, but I feel like if it's the right role for me, whether it's Sheena playing Sheena on a show or just playing a version of or completely different, if it's the right thing for me, then it'll work out.
Okay.
And if not, then maybe it's one of the projects I'm working on myself.
Okay. Are you taking acting classes still?
I
She did take acting classes, guys,
I
just
did.
for it's
I
in the book.
took them all, and now I would just be working with, a private
Oh,
coach.
because she can,
Mhm.
is basically what she's saying. All right, last question. What's next for you?
I don't know,
Okay.
and that's how I like to live my life. I like to just literally be in the moment, and as cheesy as it sounds, just live each day as if it's my last because you genuinely never know.
Mhm.
I don't like to plan too far ahead. I went into birth with my daughter having 0 birth plan. I just said, "Whatever happens, happens." So, whatever happens next in my career is what's supposed to happen. The book has been my focus. It's now out. It's a New York Times bestseller
3
and
times.
3 times. That's as far as I've gotten. So, I don't know.
I think that that's fair. I'm sure you never could have dreamed or imagined the things that have happened for you.
Yeah.
You probably just wanna keep being true to yourself, and you have definitely done that, and I know as a fan of the show, I appreciate you being just open, putting it all out there. Same for getting us to know a different side of you in this
Thank
book.
you.
You guys, make sure you check out the book. You can get this, I am sure, anywhere where books are sold. It is My Good Side by Scheana Shay. Guys, check it out. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.